6 o'clock, we'll call the August 4th Planning Commission meeting to order. Could I have a roll call, please?
Bathke,
Here.
Cornett,
Here.
McIntosh,
Here.
Mickelson, Osmondson,
Here.
Schmerbach, and Willer.
Great. The next item is the approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion for that?
Osmondson motions for the approval of the agenda.
In a second?
Cornett seconds.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, we've got the agenda approved. Public comment. So this next item is public comment on any topic not on the agenda. So we open that now if anyone's interested to come to the microphone. If not, we'll close public comment and go to item 4, which is the Buck Moon Villas preliminary plat. And we start with Ryan's staff presentation.
Thank you very much. Oh boy. There we go. Okay. So this is request of Buck Moon Villas for a preliminary site plan on 3.24 acres. It's in the Buck Moon subdivision over by Centro. And property is, the Buck Moon subdivision there is just north of Centro, east of Dubuque Street. Oh, gosh. Drying. Oh, man.
It's not being cooperative.
Not helping me. Yeah. There we go.
go.
Ah. Just to give a little bit of context of where the Buck Moon subdivision is, just figured I would zoom out a little bit, show you where it is. I'm sure we're all familiar with the city and probably know where it is, but I figured I would show it. Plus also figured I would show our trails map. The areas that are in green are designated multi-use paths in the city. These aren't just showing sidewalks, so these are areas that are 8 feet wide or greater. The area in purple is areas that are planned connections, and so there is a trail along the south side of it's between Fox Run and then it comes down into this subdivision and ultimately connects up to the Dubuque Street Trail. We recently approved design work to complete that section that would go north of Centro and then connect up to the trail that Buck Moon has constructed along there. So it really kind of starting to come together. And then there is a trail on the north side along their subdivision there. Those would be installed when they develop home sites along that north area of the development. So a lot of important infrastructure as far as trails go in this subdivision here. One that rides their bike sometimes on Dubuque Street, generally okay, but I would appreciate being on an off-street trail much better. Property is currently zoned RM12. RM12 is our multi-use district, permits townhouses, multifamily, those types of uses. There are 2 areas in this subdivision that are zoned RM12, really along the front, and then area on the back. We do appreciate when subdivisions can kind of mix housing styles and types within subdivisions. As opposed to just really having homogeneous neighborhoods and then a different area. I think it's much better when you mix housing types in a subdivision, and they've done that pretty well here. The future land use map on the right is urban medium intensity. That allows for densities in the range of about 6 to 14 units to the acre. The RM12 is 12 units to the acre, so the zoning is consistent with the future land use map designation. So this is a preliminary site plan. So we are just at this point checking if the site plan achieves consistency with our approval standards and achieves consistency with the codes that we have. Right? We already have zoning in place, so we're not debating if is this use appropriate in this location. That determination has really been made already with the zoning. So we're just doing a check to make sure the site plan achieves, and staff takes care of the lion's share of that work, and really are just presenting you with the plan that we believe achieves consistency with those requirements. As I mentioned, this site plan is for townhouses. Townhouses are listed as a permitted use in the RM12 district. And we have 4 what we call use standards in the zoning ordinance. They're pretty straightforward. Here's the site plan. To the right would be north, but just shows a grouping of 4 buildings of 3 units each for 12 units. Here's a rendering of what the buildings would look like. You only see 2 garages because one of them is side-loaded. You see it, this would be similar to the townhouses that were constructed on the front adjacent to Dubuque Street. And here's kind of the site plan. You could look at the image at the top left, shows that side-loaded garage. I would note, although these are very nice looking buildings, that really due to changes at the state level, really don't allow the city to, or the planning commission to do anything with respect to exterior cladding. Anything that's a 12-plex or less, the state says, cities, you cannot create any regulations that say that anything to do the cladding. So that's masonry, color, or anything like that. So I just throw that caution out there as if you say, oh, I like this design, but I wish it were pink or something like that. We just can't do that based on Iowa State code. During our review, we noticed that there was a 30-foot wide easement in between these 2 buildings here. The buildings were very close, so we did talk to them a little bit about while the vertical walls would be outside the easement, there are roof overhangs, and so we need that area to be clear. I've talked to them. They said they're going to revise the building to shrink it down a little bit so that the eaves will be outside of that. But again, this is just a preliminary approval, so by the time they we'll have checks down the road, which are the building permits. We'll be able to verify this. So we just kind of generally look at, does this generally achieve consistency with code? The answer is yes. Just a minor tweak that we'll have to work out when we review and approve building permits. Second consideration is, generally speaking, we don't want townhouse driveways on public streets, and that's because when you have a large development, you have a lot of driveways on a public street, and that tends to create problems. Here's an example just south of Penn Street along Cameron Way, which is what we call a typical townhouse development, but the public streets are shown kind of at the top, and then the development has private streets. Typically in a townhouse-only development, we see private streets. We are comfortable with this being on public streets. There is an exception in the code. It says for lower volume local streets and or in areas where property boundaries make access from private streets impractical. We think it meets both of those circumstances. And again, it's obviously a low volume street because it's internal to its own subdivision, and building a private street around the back is impractical because you have a high pressure gas main going through that area. So we think it makes perfect sense to have an exception and allow townhouses on a public street. These are our approval standards in 165.05. We think it achieves consistency with both of those. We have no objections to this request. And we have one finding that it achieves consistency with our approval standards. And staff recommends the Planning Commission accept the listed finding and forward the request to the City Council with a recommendation for approval. And I have a suggested motion up there. And just in closing, I see Dan out here. Dan's been a wonderful. Dan's local and has just been wonderful to work with. We've been working with Dan over the past couple of years to bring the subdivision to fruition. It's exciting to see it being developed. And so thank you, Dan, for partnering with us, and we're really excited to see this development continue. Thank you.
Great. Next, I'll open it to an applicant presentation if you'd like. If you have anything, you may.
Don't have anything really to say in addition to what Russ said, but along the berms, do we need to talk about that at all? Doesn't matter?
Yeah.
We're going to make the berms along Central wider and taller so it blocks the noise and sound from that. So we think that'll help, and we're going to bring it all the way down, and I'd like to come around the corner and do that duplex lot where those storage containers are that we have for job site material.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
Yeah, we
Anything else?
wanted to be cautious about showing anything on the site plan at this point, because again, it's a Mid-American gas main, and they'll have to get approval from Mid-Am, so we figure we just leave off things on here, and if they want to add additional landscaping on it, won't be a problem.
yeah, that's all I really had.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. I'll open it to public comment, if there are any comments from the public. If not, then questions and comments from the commission.
Nope.
Yeah, no questions. I'm happy to see it. Everything looks like it's going pretty fast there anyway. So I watch that development regularly. If there are no questions, then I'd open it for a motion.
Osmondson moved that the planning commission accepted the listed finding and forward the preliminary site plan to the city council with a recommendation for approval.
And I'll second that. Bathke. All right, may I have a roll call vote, please?
McIntosh,
Aye.
Osmondson,
Aye.
Bathke,
Aye.
Cornett.
Aye.
Great, thank you. Item number 5, the zoning ordinance. We'll start with Ryan.
Okay. I know this is everybody's favorite request. So,
It is.
Yeah, we can, as always, I commit to going page by page on this. I'm kidding. But this is a staff request to amend the zoning ordinance. The zoning ordinance was largely rewritten in 2022. That was something undertaken by myself with a lot of input from Grant. Still appreciative to this day, but really proud of that effort. It really took our zoning ordinance from an antiquated code, did a lot of reorganization and modernized it to really make it something that could be adaptable and as I work a little bit more flexible. And it really, the updated format facilitates amendments in a pretty easy fashion. So I admitted in 2022 this won't be perfect and there will be things that come up. So I'm always committed to, as new trends come on, contemporary things come on, we learn new things, changing the code to kind of meet the needs of what the development and things that are happening out there, as opposed to just throwing your hands up and saying, well, it's not in the code, I can't really help you with that. It's always something, if somebody brings to me, I'm always willing to look at it, reason out and say, does it hurt if we change the code or not, or so as we generally maybe 1 or 2 code edits a year, I kind of just keep a parking lot of things that we see that come up and say, okay, I'll group these together in a change. And what you're seeing today is a grouping of change that we've talked about over the past several months. But I'm really committed to keeping the code flexible as I can. I love flexibility in code, and there are things that you're like, oh, geez, I never really even thought about that. So I have the pages up here just in case we want to reference them, but I don't necessarily want to go through them page by page. I'm just kidding, But there's just a few things. There were a couple Scribner's errors that we noticed. There were things that we added. I think, again, some things offering flexibility. I think we in the manufactured home parks, we didn't allow carports. I'm not sure why. I think there's a few out there in them. So we came up with an idea to legitimize or allow people to have carports in manufactured home parks. Like, again, why not? What's the big deal? With some safeguards. Hey, don't turn these into outdoor storages or just put, a covered canopy. So we have safeguards built in the code. We amended the accessory dwelling unit section. There were some changes at the state level. The state requires cities to allow accessory dwelling units. I think that was the amendment last year, and we've seen 0. We're hopeful that we'll see them, but we're just trying to keep in step with changes that were, again, made an amendment to that state code, so you'll see those here. That's generally it. But I can go back through these if anybody has any questions, but 165 is the approval standards for text amendments. We believe it achieves consistency with all those. We really wouldn't undertake these changes if they weren't. We don't have any objections to the request, and we do have one finding, and staff recommends that you accept that finding and forward the request to City Council with a recommendation for approval. Thank you.
Okay, great. And do we have any public comment on the zoning ordinance amendments?
I can take questions. This is an issue that.
Yeah, if you don't mind, and introduce yourself.
Yeah,
Thanks.
so I'm Tanya Fortney. I am a resident and manager of Gulfview Mobile Home Park with regards to the carport section of the ordinance. And so if anybody had any questions, I'm here
Okay,
for the whys or whatever.
okay, thank you.
And you read the ordinance and you agree with what we have in there, is that?
Like, that was what you said.
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
adding the possibility of the carports. Okay. Then I'll move to questions and comments from the commission. Mine was just about the accessory dwelling units, and have we had any, there was all that excitement to get the flexibility, and I just don't know if we're,
And all these changes are just designed to conform to what the state code requires. We made an amendment previously to a not quite final draft of what was enacted at the state level, and this is conforming the other 15% so that we line up 100%. So there's no question that we dot all the i's and lowercase j's.
Since they're dwelling units, are they, do they have to meet like a standard living space requirement since someone is living in them?
Yes.
I guess I missed where it was referencing, if it was referencing another code section.
So, yeah, it is separately defined as in state code as well.
Okay.
There are some requirements for what is and isn't. For us, it's in the zoning area of where that is. It's size requirements, and there are one of the main changes that we had here is that previously you would say that detached ADUs shall be standalone structures and not attached with any other combination of other structures. That's not right. They can be part of a detached garage, and so that was one of the main things here. But I believe the building code has size limits for minimum dwelling size, and fire code has standards as well. So if you're going to have a dwelling unit, you need to have 2 forms of egress, and so it's not just here. There are lots of places that govern that, but this is just for how big, where can they be, that sort of thing.
Got it.
Yeah, I think one challenge for, building, construction costs out there are really expensive for everybody. And and to, while the idea, and I think we were a bit pessimistic when this came out, but certainly want to comply with code or law, state law, that just, building something small is just going to have, it's going to be really expensive to build. And then you've got to run, your utilities to it and your electric and whatever. So I just think that's a challenge. And also, if you have private covenant restrictions, which we don't enforce, that prohibit it, this does not jump that and say, well, your covenants aren't valid anymore. In fact, I think the Iowa State Code says to that effect that your covenants would rule. Now, we won't enforce that, but that we have a lot of covenants in town, and I think that probably in the newer subdivisions would stop that as well.
any additional questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
McIntosh, I move that the Planning Commission accept the listed finding and forward the ordinance amendments to the City Council with a recommendation for approval.
Cornett seconds.
Great. Could we have a roll call vote, please?
Bathke,
Aye.
Osmondson,
Aye.
Cornett,
Aye.
McIntosh.
Aye.
Hey, item 6, the urban renewal plan.
Okay, so we update the city's urban renewal plan from time to time. I found this This was the city's original urban renewal area, which was marked 11/21/90. Great year, by the way. Chapter 403 of the Iowa State Code allows municipalities to create urban renewal areas. We have to define that geographic area, and it needs to fit with the general plan for development. So you have a urban renewal area, and then you have a urban renewal plan. And that's the plan is the official legal financial instrument dictating what activities, projects, and that will incur within that zone. And so the plan amendment for this specific purpose is to include the Cherry Street Firehouse. Hopefully you've heard about that, but we are intending to reconstruct the firehouse on Cherry Street, as well as do expansions down at what we call our Public Works facility down on Front Street for the parks and water maintenance shop. So we want to add these to the plan to open up financing options for us. It's much easier to finance these projects if they are incorporated into the plan. And so we are following the state law to bring it from the Planning Commission, which makes a recommendation to City Council. But this is a pretty straightforward request to allow us to move forward with these public financing of these public projects. We don't have any objections to this request, and we do have one finding. The urban renewal plan amendment would allow the city to pursue financing for these public improvements within the city. And staff recommends the Planning Commission accept that listed finding and forward the request to the City Council with a recommendation for approval. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And do we have any public comment? Now we'll go to questions or comments from the council, commission. Pretty straightforward, right? I know, I thought the same thing. Okay, if no questions.
We do these like maybe one or two times a year as public projects come up.
Great. No questions, I'll take a motion.
Cornet motions. I move that the Planning Commission accept the listed finding and forward the request to update the city's urban renewal plan to the City Council with a recommendation for approval.
Osmondson seconds.
Great. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Cornet,
Aye.
Osmondson,
Aye.
McIntosh,
Aye.
Bathke.
Aye. Item number 7, approval of the previous minutes, the July 7th meeting. If everybody's had a chance to review them, I'll take a motion to approve those.
A fun trick is if it's not on the screen in front of you and someone suggests a motion, you can say, for example, "So moved."
So move.
All right, I'll take a first and a second motion. There you go. And this is a voice vote, so all in favor of approving the minutes as they were submitted, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Great. Those are approved. Planning updates. This is my favorite part. Anything coming up?
We've got 2 preliminary site plans. One is for a new building on Country Lane. Country Lane may not be terribly familiar to you, but it is where I think it's Liberty View is the plaza. Is that the name of it? Yeah. Across from the Palestra, there's a private street that comes south. So this would be a new office type use south of that building. It won't be super visible from the street, but certainly an underutilized piece of property in the city that we're excited to see a new development on. It's a local business that's relocating to a larger space. So we're always happy when a business stays in our community and sees the benefits of here. So we will bring that forward to you next month. Water Tower Place is a storage facility that's been previously approved, but they're making some changes to the site plan that triggers a re-review. So that'll come back forward. We were hoping to talk about North Stewart Street reconstruction, but we'd rather do that next month. And this will be the reconstruction of a street in our old town. And that presents some really unique challenges, particularly trying to retain kind of the character of these narrower streets. So I think it's interesting and certainly something we want to discuss with the commission because this will kind of set the tone for as we move forward and construct other streets in the old town.
Stewart's the one that runs along like the railroad tracks, right?
But yes, it does. Yeah.
East of the tracks. Okay.
Yep. This will be the one between Cherry and Penn, this section.
Oh, okay. Any questions for him? Okay, well, we appreciate the update. And then I need a motion to adjourn. I'll motion. Joseph Bathke will motion in a second.
Osmondson
All in
second.
favor? Aye,
Aye.
we're adjourned.